I want to talk about a significant issue that many guys are currently suffering from these days. The problem is that the man has no control over it, nor is he to blame. The real problem lies with the parents. This problem occurred during childhood, but its effects are evident now. The problem is the small size of the genital organs, and it's a problem that many young men are facing these days. If I were to tell you the number of young men who come to me every day because they are dissatisfied with the size of their reproductive organ and want it to be larger, you wouldn't believe it. And the truth is, they are unable to conceive due to the lack or severe decrease in sperm count. You cannot imagine it. The reality is that the young man is not at fault for the problem he is facing. To understand this problem and its causes, we need to go back about 10 or 15 years, to the time when the young man was a child, around 7, 8, or 10 years old. At that time, he had no understanding of what a reproductive organ or testicle meant, let alone marriage or having children. The responsibility falls on the family, on the father and mother. They should pay attention to their son's genital organ size just as they care about his education, nutrition, and sports activities. They should make sure with conclusive evidence that it is growing at a healthy rate. Note that we should not rely on drastic measures. We cannot just look at our child and say that everything is fine without evidence. I am saying here with absolute certainty that we should conduct tests and x-rays for the child to ensure that his testicles are in the right place and that their size corresponds to his age. It is not suitable for a 10-year-old to have testicles the size of a 2 or 3-year-old. The size of the reproductive organ should also be proportionate to the child's age. If we notice any problem, we should take immediate and swift action. We shouldn't believe anyone who tells us to leave it until he grows up and it will be fine, because that is the sentence that caused the problem we are currently facing. Leave it until he grows up and it will be fine. The reality is when he grows up, it won't be fine. Brothers and sisters, if you have a son, you must pay attention. Make sure that the size of his genital organs corresponds to his age. Today we are discussing the issue of small genital organ size in men, which is essentially due to the small size of the genital organs in children that went untreated. Why? Because I can easily treat this problem before puberty. When the child is 7, 8, 10, 12, or a maximum of 13 or 14 years old, I can treat it very easily. Imagine that you now have the opportunity to ensure that your son lives a happy married life and can conceive children easily. But you are not taking the step, you are not concerned about this matter, treating him as if he was still a small child. Yes, the small child is the man of the future, the young man of the future. Just as you secure his future in many aspects, secure his future in a happy married life. Believe me, every day 10 or 20 young men come to me wanting to increase the size of their reproductive organs, wanting to procreate but not knowing how. As a doctor, I face great difficulty and it may be impossible for me to help them because the reality is that they come with a small organ size that cannot satisfy their wives and small testicles that cannot produce enough sperm for them to conceive. I have no solution for them. I could have easily helped him very easily with a few very simple treatments. During childhood, if he had come to me at an early age, like 10 or 15 years old, when I would tell him this, he would say, "Doctor, how would I have known? I was just a child." May God forgive my family. They didn't pay attention. They didn't care. I was the only one who knew that I would face this situation. Many of them come to me in tears, and many of them say, "I wish my family had fixed this problem for me, even if they didn't do anything else in their lives." Many of them have great scientific achievements, and people with a very high financial and social status. But the truth is, none of that matters to them. What matters to them is that they cannot satisfy their wives. They cannot have children. This is a very difficult problem that we see every day, and its solution would be very easy during childhood. So please, every father and every mother, if you have a son, that son is your responsibility, and when he grows up, no one will care about him except you. Look at your son. There is no such thing as shame. There is no such thing as embarrassment. And if you feel for a moment that something is not normal, and believe me, this is very common in children these days, don't hesitate. Get him examined and do tests. And don't believe any doctor who tells you to leave the child until he grows up and he'll be fine. Because unfortunately there are many colleagues who say that. And that's not true. When the child grows up, he won't be fine, believe me. If his organ size is small when he is a child, it will grow, but he will have a small organ as an adult. If his testicle size is small when he is a child, it will grow, but he will have small testicles and won't be able to conceive. My advice to every father and mother and every grandfather and grandmother, take care of your children and look after them from now on. Take care of them and help them to live a happy married life.